I'm going to do an insight again today. What I feel today as I start to connect into something around activation, looking at stuff like dissolving, releasing, letting go. Very much so, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up for a lot of people within your own sort of like minds around sort of like old perceptions, old realities that are going to keep coming up to the forefront. And how I feel at the moment is there's a lot of dissolving going on. And these universal laws are helping with this kind of stuff. The more that you start to connect into like the universal law of oneness and start to see that you're from the source and try and live within that source, live within that light and that energy within yourself, then it will start to dissolve this old frequency, which is third dimensional reality, which is what we're trying to dissolve at the moment. And is to sort of like move into the fourth. The third dimensional reality is a reflection of a lot of things going on in the world. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world of a lot of souls and a lot of beings, spiritual beings on the planet. So at present, we've got a lot of wars, we've got a lot of unrest, we've got a lot of disharmony in the planet, but that's a reflection of our own inner world. So again, this is again like when you talk about the universal law of compensation, where it's got sort of like the inner world and the outer world are connected. That's a direct expression or a direct sort of like a reflection of where we're at as a planet at the moment with wars and the political unrest and the economy and stuff. Very much around sort of like what we're creating and we're putting out into the universe at the moment. The planet's reflecting that. Again, and as I see this, I see like I want to feel like when I see this is I'm being shown a vision of like being inside, but being in this clear, still water, crystal clear, still water. There's no waves, there's no ripples. There's just this sense of peace, but also this sense of just like being completely still. So it's like that kind of feeling. So like when you're inside, it's about just remaining centered, and this is what I feel they're giving me. They're giving me to say that this at this time is how you need to be. You need to be like this still pond where you need to be centered all the time because there's so much chaos and there's so much um, difference in the energy and the frequencies out there. It's like that, and it creates this ripple effect. So we need to be very very conscious about how we're using our energy and how we're sending our thoughts out there. All thoughts are energy, but they turn into consciousness, and the consciousness then turns into reality. And because of this universal law of oneness, and again talking about like the Almora, which is again the divine will, and the first ray, which is blue. It's very much about the divine will and the divine intelligence and the divine presence. And it's sort of like I feel like I want to talk about that. I want to talk about in the sense of be remaining sort of like in that divine mind, keeping your mind clear, keeping yourself clear. I'm also being drawn to the heart chakra now, so I know this is very much around being centered. Like your mind is like has all these kind of intellect and has all these thoughts and it has all these wants and needs and it's like the physical mind is constantly being sort of bombarded with all this kind of stimulus from the outer world of like the internet and stress, anxiety, and situations and events and driving, and it could be many things just bombarding you. But if you remain in your heart, you remain in a place where you connect to your source and your intuition, but you also you connect to your wisdom. The heart is a place of wisdom. So it's very much around remaining in that heart and remaining in that sort of like that wisdom, that ancient or that spiritual wisdom, that intuitive wisdom that's in you. And it's about sort of like connecting in that, because that connects then and opens up your channel to to like your higher self, your higher source. So the higher self is connected to the source energy, which is the universal source, which is the divine sort of like the source of all creation, of all energy. It's a blueprint of everything. And when we connect into that, we become part of a bigger thing, like a bigger reality. And this is like universal consciousness. And when we start to connect into that, and we start to connect into the higher realms and the higher energies and the higher frequencies, so we get a higher perspective, we get a higher awareness, we get a higher insight. When I say higher, I mean when I'm saying higher, I mean more like a more infinite. I want to change the word from higher to infinite. You have an infinite perspective. You get infinite wisdom, infinite sort of awareness. And what means by that is it expands. And this is part of the ascension again. and this is all going on at the moment. So like your vibration is really important. So there's 3 or 4 universal laws I'd really concentrate on at the moment. The universal law of oneness. So remain in your light, in your energy. Try and sort of like, how I do it is I try and sit within myself, and I try to feel the light within myself. I don't try. I do feel that I do feel the light within myself, and I walk around in that. And when I walk around in that, I feel lighter, brighter. I feel energized, vibrant. And when I sit in that, I feel more connected. But I also feel like, which is going on so much at the moment. The more I sit into that kind of light, the more that this third dimensional reality just dissolves. All my problems, all my issues just dissolve in an instant. So I know sitting in there is one of the key things. Excuse me. Excuse me, sorry. One of the key things is sitting in that light, because when you do, that infinite wisdom, that infinite insight, you're connected to the spiritual realms, the spiritual guides, the ascended beings, the angels, and it all opens up. And then once it opens up, then your energy field opens up to allow yourself to align with that, and then you gain the insight, you gain the awareness of what sort of like the best outcome, or how to approach something, or how to be. But it also keeps your vibration high, because you're open to that spiritual energy, that spiritual essence. And that's another thing I want to talk about. So I keep talking about soul, and I keep talking about source, but I want to talk about essence. So the essence is what connects to the source, but the essence is what we use. You need to keep that sort of essence sort of expressing it in a higher way. Our essence has all the answers, it has all the information. It's encoded with all of the divine source energy is all encoded within our essence, and that's why we should live within that essence. Because when we start to, we shine light, we express ourselves from that essence, and we express ourselves in a divine way, in a more sort of universal way. So yeah, the universal law of oneness is really important. The universal law of vibration is so important as well. Inspired action, which is the one where you sort of like you sit with and go with inside, and you remain in the source, which is really important. Compensation is another one that you've got to be sort of thinking about, the inner and the outer world, that nothing's separate. When you start to look at everything, I mean, I was looking at something the other day, and I was looking at Auroria Jones, who was talking about the 7 sacred flames, and they were talking about, so like, you've got 7 sacred flames. So on the yellow, like yellow is Sunday, which is to do with like illumination, and it's like creativity, I would always say yellow is. And then you got like blue on Monday, which is to do with like the divine force, like the divine will, but then it's all to do with knowledge, wisdom, healing. And then you had like Tuesday was pink, which is again like to do with harmony, the ray of harmony, the ray of peace, the ray of union. And then you sort of like had emerald green on like Wednesday, which is to do with like, I always see like green as like to do with the Archangel Raphael, which is to do with healing. But also this green sapphire sort of brings this infinite wisdom, infinite growth, infinite understanding. But it also opens you up and opens up your heart as well, so you feel more connected, more grounded, more open, more sort of like you've got more insight as well. And then obviously Thursday, you're talking about this gold ray. Gold to me is is always sort of ancient wisdom. It's the source, it's the sun, it's the energy, it's alchemy, it's creation. Gold brings healing. It brings this infinite sort of consciousness, again, this Christ consciousness. And then like Friday is white, which is a pure vibration, a high vibration. But the white also holds many different vibrations, because obviously you look at crystals and it's got like a rainbow in it, and the crystal has this like spectrum of light in it. That white light is like the infinite awareness, the higher energies, the higher vibrations. But those higher vibrations also hold those other rays, those other colors within them. So each vibration has holds other vibrations, because everything's connected, everything's infinite. So within those colors and those vibrations is wisdom, is knowledge, is information, is understanding. And then obviously Saturday is the violet one, which is obviously transmutation, transforming and transmutating energy. So also knowing that, again, this connects back to the universal law of perpetual transmutation, which is energy it never dies, it just changes form. So again, it's coming back to these universal laws, and this is what I was trying to say the other day. Is like I really feel like this, and I really feel like I've been given this lately to really sort of I've really got to work amongst these universal laws. That's my purpose, is to really sort of like start to come into these universal laws, express them, talk about them here, but also start to really use them within my own life. Again, universal law of rhythm talks about again this kind of cycles. As energy goes through these cycles, it shifts and changes. It goes in a circular way. As it starts to shift and change, and obviously it then dissolves and allows like this new, like perpetual transmutation is also about like birth, death, renewing, rebirth, which is all these kind of cycles of rhythm again. Obviously, you've got the universal law of attraction again, and you've got the universal law of you've got the universal laws of cause and effect, which obviously again, and then you've got the, you know, this is all to do with sort of like what you're sending out again and what comes back. You've got the universal law of polarity, which talks about frequency related back to again the universal law of vibration, which is very much around frequencies. Polarities, it means that there's a positive and negative scale. So what, you know, it depends on where you create again, and this all connects again to the universal law of compensation again, where you're what you reap is what you sow. And then you've got the universal law of, sorry, so the universal law I said compensation earlier was not the one I was talking about. It was universal law of correspondence, which is the inner and outer world. I've just been corrected on that as I'm sitting there and talking about it, because that was sort of like niggling me that I'd said that wrong, and now I feel like I've just been told about that. So compensation is the reap and sow, which connects to the universal law of attraction, and then universal law of correspondence is what's on outside, on the inside is what sort of like reflects to the outside, which creates the universe. So how you want to see it is like you're this being that's this infinite source within yourself. Go inside yourself every day and create this sacred space of universal light, love, truth, understanding, wisdom, right? And then shine that light. Imagine it shining out of yourself. Imagine yourself illuminating, because this is what they want to say to me, illuminating as a soul, as a spiritual being, and illuminating that light out there. And when you illuminate that light out there, that light then reflects out of you, and it creates the reality. That energy creates the vibration. It vibrates on a frequency, and it creates your reality outside. So everything that's within creates the out, and nothing's separate. So it all starts within. This is where you find the wisdom. This is where you find the essence. This is where you find the source. This is where you find everything, and this is how you start to create. This is how you start to move and dissolve. And at one stage, these sacred flames is when I get these, and I've got like a big fire around me that's burning now, and I feel like this fire, sacred flames, or these fires work as instruments or tools. They dissolve. They help to dissolve, clear, and cleanse. That's what these sacred flames do to me. When I see them, that I've got an orange one around my head, and it's vibrating. It's like, and it's really like like a flame would. It's really like sort of like flickering. You know, but anything that comes towards me or hits that flame just dissolves. So it's like that kind of thing. It just dissolves. Any kind of thing that comes into your energy that needs to be purified, that needs to be cleansed and cleared. So there's a lot of things going on. And this flame I see is orange. For some reason I always see like an orange flame. But that orange flame is the divine flame that dissolves. I have seen different colours, but whenever I see kind of see this flame that dissolves is orange, which is strange because people talk about the transmutation flame, the violet flame. I don't see it. I see violet light all the time, and I see this kind of infinite universal colour, like deep rich purple, and I see this within my own energy and around me all the time. But I feel this connects to the universal teacher, or the order of Melchizedek, and I feel this is the universal keys. This is spiritual insight. This is spiritual clairvoyance, understanding, deep ancient wisdom that the Melchizedek order brings. Is a universal teacher. My ex Reiki teacher, she had a lot, and this guy Melchizedek was one of the guys that worked with her. You'll know if you see Melchizedek or anyone within his order, because he has these piercing blue eyes that you cannot, like really light blue eyes that are piercing, that you see, and you see like, and he's got like long white hair, and he wears this deep rich purple robe. But he brings the universal keys, the keys of consciousness. That's what he brings forward to us as a universal teacher, so we start to understand how the universe works. And I feel he links into these universal laws, as a lot of the White Brotherhood does, and a lot of the universal teachers do, because they're all interconnected. They're all part of this kind of expansion, as they're trying to expand our consciousness, which is what we're here for, and this is what they're here for, is expanding our consciousness. And this is where we get like the sacred geometry, we get these symbols, we get these crystals, these energies that have been given to us, these healing tools, and these new kind of insights that are coming through to many of us at the moment. And they're all happening because they're all interlinked, because these ascended masters and these guides are coming to the earth to lighting us and illuminate us again. They were called the illuminated ones in years before, because of the way they are, the way their frequency, their vibrations were. People would be lifted just in their presence, and they would feel the energy, they would feel the source energy, their heart energy, how it connected to them, and it would lift them and illuminate them. And they would do that for everybody. So the illumination sometimes is just the expansion in energy and insight and awareness. And when we do that, we become lighter, brighter, and we shine brighter, like with the spiritual light, the spiritual energy. We hold that frequency, so we become illuminated. But it's just dissolving this third dimensional reality where we're very connected to it, which is going on all the time. So this time is very much around, a lot of us are going through an initiation. We also must remember that this time, as spiritual beings, we are here, and we are here to drive this, and not to drive, but to help with this new sort of expansion of awareness and this new sort of reality that we're trying to create here. And this is part of our purpose. The Ascended Masters and the spiritual beings are doing it in the 5th and 6th and 7th dimension over there, but we're doing it on the 3rd dimension here. And the idea is we're here to shift the planet. This is what us light workers, us beings are here for. So it's about us awakening to that and opening up and starting to do that. So daily practices, and this is why I said the universal laws. Oneness, oneness is the key one. Being in source, being in the source energy. This affects your vibration, so it increases your vibration, which makes you open to receive the guidance of the 5th dimensional realities, the ascended beings, the masters. Inspired action, again, go inside, feel what it's like to be inside, connect to your source, create that sacred space again. And it then connects to the universal law of correspondence, which is the inner world creates the outer world. You got the universal laws of cause and effect, the universal law of abundance, universal law of attachment, or either it's yeah. So like also we sort of like universal law where we sort of like we're attraction, the universal law of attraction. I don't know why that was going out of my head. They've just corrected me again. The universal law of attraction is really important again. So like what you're creating outside, it then draws it to you. Universal law of cause and effect, what you send out there creates obviously your reality, creates the blueprint of what your reality is now. So you have to be very careful. And again, this creates the universal law of compensation. The seeds that you're sowing, you'll reap. So try and remain on a high frequency. Universal law of polarity again comes back down to vibration. It's talking about positive and negative. Try and remain in a positive one. There's positive and negative scale. Not one's necessarily bad or good. They just have different vibrations. You have a choice to be whichever one you want. Obviously, going to the 5th dimension, you're looking at love, peace, joy, harmony, compassion, creativity, laughter, all that kind of stuff, which keeps your vibration high, keeps it vibrant. Universal law of rhythm, again to do with these kind of cycles that are going on, and then obviously the planet's going through these cycles. So this is why it's really important to remain in there, because these universal laws help us and give us the guidance to actually ascend and move into that 5th dimensional reality. And that's what they're there. They're trying to bring us back into this universal community and this universal sort of planetary community where our planet is on a 5th dimensional reality, and it's opening up the gateways, opening up the portals, opening up the planetary sort of ley lines, the energy grids on here, so the planet can ascend again and move back into that universal community, because we've been separate from it for thousands and thousands of years. And this is the point of why the Ascended Masters have come back. So that's the insight for today.